You're listening to The Unstoppables, where each week we show you how to overcome obstacles and transform the sting of failure into the reward of growth. And now, here's your host, best-selling author, keynote speaker, and CEO, Bill Wooditch.
You're tuned into that place, that space in the universe, that place where you seek the knowledge, you seek the wisdom, you seek the way, the style, the methods of those people who have gone before you, who have taken those strides, the strides toward greatness. And did they fail? Oh, yeah. Did they get hurt by the rejection? Of course they did. Was it tough to get out of the dark? You bet. But they did. They looked into the abyss. They found themselves. They found that confidence. They grew their competence, and they became unstoppable. My special guest today is Quentin McCain. He's a coach. He's a mentor. He's a light of possibility. Today, he's going to shed that light, and we're all going to benefit. Quentin, man, good to see you.
Good to see you. I'm happy to be here.
Well, you know, I met you a while ago, and you had that power, that energy, and it was an infectious energy. We connected, and we've been sharing different insights. I learned from you. I'm watching you, and I really appreciate your message. And you know what? It's all about the messenger. So let's learn a little bit about the messenger, and tell me how you started. Give me a little bit about your background.
Yeah. So when I was younger, I was pretty much running around with the wrong crowds. I was hanging out with the thugs and gangsters, and I was, kind of going down the wrong path. And there's a few really life-defining moments that happen. I'd love to say that one big thing happened and I just shifted, but a few big things happened, and little by little I started shifting. But when it comes to going on this path, I mean, one of the biggest things is I got in a car accident when I was 18 years old, where, it was like 1 a.m. in the morning, and I was driving, and I fell asleep at the wheel of my car, and I crashed into a light pole, and that was a huge moment. I broke my right femur in half. I chipped my right hip. I broke 3 ribs on the left side that punctured my left lung and had, internal bruising like my liver and stuff. So it was that was definitely a wake up call. One of them.
You know, it's interesting. There's things in our life that can happen that we can change that course. And like you said, and I think it's really important. Sometimes it's not just one big thing. Sometimes it's not just one major thing. It's a series of things. And then you have to do something I think that we all need to do. You got to look inside and say, where's my life going? What do I want for my life? Yeah. So you're in the car accident. A series of events are happening. What happens next?
So, the car accident obviously was a big one, because at that point I'm like, okay, I've been kind of living my life in this certain way, running the streets, not really, letting life happen to me instead of being intentional about my life. And, at that point I'm like, you know what, maybe I am here for a reason, right? I lived in, I'm sitting in this hospital bed, and it's like, what am I going to do with my life? But fast forward a little bit, in 2009, what really started shifting me towards this career path is a friend gave me a CD from Jim Rohn. Um, and I started listening to this CD. And even though I didn't do personal development or read or anything like that, for some reason it was resonating with me. It was resonating with me. And I was like, you know what? I'm getting these concepts, I'm liking this. And honestly, from that point, I started reading books, started going to seminars, just kind of getting into that realm, and it became like a motivational snowball. And it just built up on it. And I think by like 2011, I was like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I want to help people. I want to speak. I want to coach people, on their emotions, on their mindset, on how to really shift your life, because that's exactly what I had begun to do.
You know, you're bringing to mind a book that I'm finishing right now. It's called Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey.
Hmm.
And he talks about the arrow doesn't seek the target seeks the arrow. You are in a place to be open to, and you found that inspiration. You found so no matter how great of a motivational speaker you are, and you are, no matter how much of an inspirational model you are, and you are, if that person's not ready for you, if that person, that student is not ready for the teacher, you're never going to appear. You were ready for Jim Rohn's message and other like-minded people. By the way, Tony Robbins followed him. So you were really ready for that. And then you took it, and here we are today.
Yeah, here we are. I mean, I consider myself a student always. I mean, I just wrote down that. Is it, you said green light? Yeah.
You'd love it.
I mean,
You'll love it.
I
He does a great
you
job.
know, it's all about no matter how much we learn and how much we grow and how much we help others, we're always willing to be that student and learn. Just like everybody before us, they had to learn from someone as well, right?
You know, and if I could bottle what you just said and bring it out and sell it and really sell it, and people would buy into this message, it's this. You got to be a curious learner in life. And so many
Yeah.
people aren't, Quentin, because they shut themselves down and think they know everything and think they know enough. And enough is never good enough. You've always got to grow and learn and ask the question, what if I don't know? Sometimes you got to be okay with not knowing, but you've
Hmm.
got to be on the quest constantly for knowledge that you can apply.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you'll benefit from that book. So you had this passion to share with others. Now, tell me how that took shape and how you started to, put out there in the universe, hey, this is Quentin McCain. I got a message for you. Here it is.
Yeah. So around 2011, when I made the decision, like, yes, this is what I want to do. This is the path. This is what I'm destined to do. Um, my mom, E. Marie Hall, and I actually began writing a book. And this was in 2011. And, neither one of us knew anything about writing, editing, barely was getting into, what the speaking realm was like and honing in on that craft. And we set out to write this book. And without any knowledge of how to do it, we just said, all right, well, one foot in front of the other, we just got to start writing, right? And I'm not going to say that it was a smooth, beautiful path to writing the book because, there was procrastination involved. There was, some inconsistencies for sure. But at one moment, we said, you know what? If we're really going to put this out, we got to do it. And that's when we started meeting regularly. And you know what? It took about 5 years.
Mhm.
Um, if I'm being completely honest, we didn't finish the book until 2016. Um, but we did it because we put our minds to it and just put one foot in front of the other. And when you do that, the resources begin to come, the people begin to come, the situations begin to come. And that's exactly what happened.
Do you know how many people die with a book in their head? You know, hey, you did something and you named all the reasons people don't start. They don't know enough. They don't know how. They fear the rejection. There's a lot of procrastination. That's just fear disguised in itself. It's because you're going to come up short and you can't do it. But you know what the Ethiopian proverb is? How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And you did it. And it's if you could take that, and how do you coach people to get over that sticking point of procrastination? So they're coming to you and saying, hey, you're a model, you've done this. How do you coach them through that?
Well, first of all, you're a great example with fail more, right? It's like that's the thing that happens most often is you're going to give up before you make it more often than not. It's about that perseverance and failing forward, like my man Bill Woodage says, right? um, and that's what it's about. Yeah, we can show you some mindset techniques. We can show you how to get a better grasp of your emotional intelligence and your thoughts and all these different things. But from the jump, you're gonna have to make that commitment that you're gonna keep going.
That's okay. And that is just about everything right there, because you're not going to want to do it. And you can train the techniques, which you do, and you can train the mindset and you can work on certain things. But if people don't embrace that themselves internally and want it, like David Goggins says, you're going to feel that suck. And it's going to be easy for you to think about a softer way to go through life. But it depends on the inspiration in that very moment. And in that moment becomes the next moment. And you got to want for something much greater. And there's a pain, man. And there's a price of perseverance, and you got to be willing to pay that, Quentin. You know.
Oh yeah.
So where would we find you for coaching? So I want to talk about your mindset coaching. I want to talk about how you coach, but I don't know where to find you. Where do we find you?
Yeah. So social media would be at Coach Q McCain, and that's QMCCAIN, and my website, QuentinMcCain.com.
Good, perfect. Let me ask you something that is a new question for me. I've been doing this for a while, but I thought about this last night in thinking about what I was going to talk with you about. There's an iron law of success for each of us. There's that one thing in us that I think makes the difference over all other things. If I was going to ask you, for example, my iron law of success is resilience. I'm going to be resilient. I'm going to be able to take this pounding and keep going and promise myself that I will be resilient. So if you were going to say to people, here's Quentin's iron law of success, what do you think that would be?
Two things come to mind: your thoughts, the quality of your thoughts, and also your energy. Um, and I say that because first of all, your energy, if you don't have energy, and you're taking care of yourself, your self-care for mind, body, spirit, you're not going to have the motivation to do the things that you need and want to do. um, and I say thoughts because that's a big piece of my coaching, is the quality of your thoughts. What images are you creating in your head when you're setting your goals, or when you have a failure, or if something doesn't go exactly right? Those images are making you feel a certain thing emotionally, and those emotions are making you act a certain way. So if we change those images, it's going to change how you feel and how you behave.
I'd encourage the audience to check you out to see your energy, because this forum doesn't do you justice, because your energy is magnetic, but you're very powerful. You come from a core of belief, and that manifests itself in the way, in the tone, in the energy of your message. And you got a great message behind it. So, I always say that people are going to buy the messenger before they ever stick around to listen to the message. And so if people would check you out, watch you, see what you do, man, you got content, but you're killing the content with your energy. So it's just awesome. That is what I've found with you for the last 2 years. And I got to ask you this, because it's on the top of my brain right now. If I'm this person that says, Quentin, yeah, okay, it's great, but I'm just F up, man. I can't, man. You don't know, I failed my last time. How do you try to get that mindset correction where you're working on them like an exercise? What would the steps you take to somebody comes to you? Yeah, that's great for you, but it wouldn't work for me. What would you tell them?
It honestly starts for me with language. So when I'm talking to somebody for the first time, they might not even necessarily know what I'm doing. I'm just asking questions and having a conversation, and I'm listening to the language, and I'm taking certain notes, and I'll feed it back to them exactly what they're saying, and ask them, what kind of images are these words creating for you when you say it? And then I may challenge them to think of a different way without lying. We're not doing like toxic positivity or anything. Without lying, what is another way you can reframe these things? I think language is one of the easiest first start for breaking the mold of they've created thus far.
You know what? I am 100% in agreement with the power of language. Not only the external talk, what we say, but the internal talk, most important, what we say and what we believe and what we buy ourselves. I think that's crucial. And I heard the other day that wisdom begins with the definition of terms, and that's language. And that's what you're doing. You're seeking to understand, and you're reframing that language, because so many times if you listen, there's one weak word in every sentence. I'd like to do that, but weak word.
Oh, yeah.
I'd like is another weak word. I will do this. I will do this in this way. So you hear the same things that I hear, and the ability to take advantage of that and position people to understand their language of self-talk is as or more important than anything they bring out, because that's what they're bringing out. After the iron law of success, we're going to fall into a pit. All right, just for a little bit. What do you think your biggest failure was, and what did you learn from it?
I would say just my mindset um, in my adolescence, um, because this is why that I love this work so much, is because I think back to my mindset during those times, and I really was, careless, and I had this persona of I'm tough, and I'm willing to you know fight, or whatever the case may have been. um, and what you focus on expands. We've heard that quote, what you focus on expands. And at that time I was focusing on being that tough person, and I was in that moment. So to me, just having that mindset and having that downward spiral was the biggest failure. But at the same time, we have a saying in NLP, neuro linguistic programming, that there's no such thing as failure, only feedback. So depending on your perception, how you look at that, yeah, it was failure, but it was also feedback, right? Because now I can look back at those times and say, look, it's possible to change your mindset, and it's possible to go from hanging out with the gangsters on the street to writing a Amazon best-selling book, right? Or speaking to thousands of people in an audience.
The feedback loop is critical in learning from failure, no matter what you call it. I always called it, before I wrote the book, I just called it a setback. But man, it was just me. And they told me, you got to bring the F word out. So it is, and it's all part of that feedback loop. And that's the price you pay for success. There's a cost, Quentin. You don't just come out and write that book without putting in the energy, the hours, sticking with it, not quitting. That, and then the reward is speaking like you have and like you do in front of a ton of people. So it's all part of the bargain. I got to ask you this about rituals, because you are disciplined. I watch you work out. Tell me, do you have rituals every day, or do you kind of go by feel?
I guess a little bit of both. I do believe in having rituals and doing something for your mind, body, and spirit. I've talked about that a lot. One of the ones that really resonates with me is just having something, even if it's something small, for each of those areas every day. Preferably in the morning, to start your day on a good tone, right? Something to activate mind. That might be reading, that might be podcast, audiobook. Body could be some push-ups, some jumping jacks, or it could be going to the gym, taking a walk. I like to walk a lot too. Even though I do go to the gym, I like to walk a lot when I'm thinking and things like that. And then spirit could be prayer, could be
Yeah.
meditation, right? So just something that activates each one of those areas.
I'm a firm believer in that, in the four pillars, as I call it. And you've heard this probably before, but I really believe in keeping that as congruent as you can, like pillars of a house: physical, the emotional well-being and care, you caring for others, and getting a reciprocal feedback from those people. The
Mhm.
spiritual side, which is the overarching belief in something greater than you, and the intellectual side that you're feeding as well, your mind. And when you come out and you start feeding positivity, or it doesn't matter what, from different and good sources, that's going to be the feed source, the nutrition source for your thoughts for the rest of the day. So I'm not reading positive mantra as much as I'm just diving into different things and finding what I can use and what I believe, and then throwing out what I don't, but I'm not going to discard that. And I think going in motion like you do with walking, man, that creates an emotion. And so I think that motion, emotion thing you've heard before, but this huge. Getting in play in this game of life is how you win the game. So it's just my 2 cents of
Oh
belief
yeah,
on
no, I love it.
it. Let me ask you a question on defining moment. Because the car accident, where do you see now in the future? Where do you think you're going to make that difference? Where do you visualize, because you have to do this, where do you visualize Quentin's going to make this difference, and it's going to be the next defining moment in another spur of growth? So where do you see yourself? What do you see yourself doing next?
I honestly see myself getting even bigger, even better in my expertise with mindset. It's my mission to problem solve and figure out what it is that makes the difference for us, especially in times like this. A lot of people are stressed, a lot of people are anxious, depressed, and it's my mission to just get bigger and better. I want to create more online presence, and programs, and just to be able to reach a wider spread of people, and just be able to help wherever I can.
I love that. I relate to that. I mean, people ask me, why would you go here and go this? And why would you do this for this? And it's because I want to reach a wider audience. And that to me is the most important thing. It's not about selling books. It's not about getting a fee. It's about, did I make a difference for someone? And the feedback loop on that, it will tell you what you're doing. And that's probably the most for you, I think, as well as me, that keeps pulling you out there.
Oh yeah, most
The people that
definitely.
appreciate what you're doing, you're making a difference in their lives. That's why you do it.
Most
I would
definitely.
guess.
Oh yeah,
Define success
that's
for
right.
me. Now, give me your terms on success. You've told us about failure. So how does Quentin define success?
I define success as doing what you want with who you want when you want. Success is freedom to me.
Man, I love that. That's got to be on the top of the board. To me, Quentin, as much as it sounds like an oxymoron, you work for your freedom. And I want to say this is one of the most powerful parts of what you just said. There's a price for freedom. But to me, the most important thing is doing what you want to do, when you want to do it, with whom you want to do it. And that's great, but there's a price. So everything I did was around freedom. I wanted to have the freedom of movement, the freedom of choice. I didn't want to be told what to do. I was a rebel. I wanted to do it my way. I wanted the freedom to do that. And man, that takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of you know what, but that is the difference for me in happiness and being unhappy. You nailed it.
Yeah, I
Love that.
agree.
No,
It's
I
all
love that.
it's all about the freedom.
It's all about the freedom. I'm like, there's a story I read about. It's like the lion on the in the Atlanta Zoo, a huge lion that was taken, off of the savannah, and years later it perished. And people was watching this, and they wouldn't eat. It just the flicker in the light just died out in his eye, and it's because he didn't have the freedom. And
Mm.
it's the same with us as people. If we don't have the freedom of expression to get off our couches, to lean into discomfort, to say, we're going to do something different. We're going to write that book. We're going to start now. We're going to get to the gym. We're going to walk around. We're going to take positive affirmations, and we're going to use those to help other people. We're going to be careful of our self-talk. Man, you're starting. It's a start. So now you're 120 years old. You've taken care of yourself. You've done a great job, done everything. You're going to write something, leave something, say something so people can find, when they look up Quentin McCain, coach, they're going to find this statement, this paragraph. What would you leave for others to find and learn from so they don't have to take the same ass kicking that you and I took?
Oh, is this one? Would you say one phrase
You can
or?
give me a paragraph if you like. You're that good. You can do it.
A couple things come to mind. One is you can't do it alone. Um, and the other one is when you think you can't, keep going.
Love that. I always tell this to audiences. I came up short trying to get into an Ivy League law school. One of the many reasons, it wasn't the only one, there's like 1,000. But they asked me a question. They said, no man is an island. It was a quote by John Donne. And they said, what does that mean? And I went, I don't freaking know. I know now. None of us can get through here without the help of others.
That's
And no
right.
one needs more help than me, Quentin. So, I
Hey,
mean,
I'm with you. I'm with you.
I seek it, I need it. I could stay on for hours with you. We got to come back and do this again. We're
For
out of
sure.
time today, but I want you to direct people to where they can find you.
Yeah, most definitely. So you can find me on social media at Coach Q McCain, and you can also find me at my website, quentinmccain.com.
Fantastic. Thank you, my friend. You've been tuned into the Unstoppables. Stay safe, be smart, listen to Coach Q. You get up against that wall, push through it. Take those defining moments, change your life. Every day, you got that chance.
You've been listening to The Unstoppables. If you liked today's episode, please consider subscribing. We have a new episode every Thursday. Please help spread the word of the show by leaving us a positive review on iTunes or Stitcher. Those 5-star reviews really help out the show. You can subscribe to The Unstoppables on iTunes, Spotify, or Stitcher to stay up to date on the latest episodes. Thanks again for listening. Always forward.